Welcome to Wisdom Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2518 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. In today's Wisdom Nugget, we're diving into Psalm 37 and focusing on verses 1 through 7 from the New Living Translation. This portion of Scripture offers us timeless wisdom for navigating life's challenges, especially when we're tempted to compare ourselves with others or feel overwhelmed by the apparent success of the wicked. David, the author of this psalm, gives us practical and spiritual guidance for keeping our focus on God, trusting in His timing, and living in peace. Let's begin by reading the passage together. Don't worry about the wicked or envy those who do wrong. For like grass, they soon fade away. Like spring flowers, they soon wither. Trust in the Lord and do good. Then you will live safely in the land and prosper. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you your heart's desires. Commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust Him, and He will help you. He will make your innocence radiate like the dawn, and the justice of your cause will shine like the noonday sun. Be still in the presence of the Lord, and wait patiently for Him to act. Don't worry about evil people who prosper, or fret about their wicked schemes. David begins his psalm in verse 1 with clear instructions. Don't worry about the wicked, or envy those who do wrong. This is an important reminder because it's easy to become frustrated when we see people who disregard God seemingly thriving in life. We wonder why those who do wrong appear to prosper, while those who strive to live righteously face struggles. David encourages us not to let these thoughts consume us. In verse 2, David explains why. For like grass, they soon fade away. Like spring flowers, they soon wither. The success of the wicked is temporary, just like grass that withers under the sun or flowers that bloom briefly and then fade. Their prosperity may look impressive for a time, but it will not last. God's justice is inevitable, and the fleeting nature of worldly success is a reminder not to base our worth or focus on such things. Instead of envying the wicked, David encourages us to trust in God's plan and to rest in His timing. This perspective helps us to stay grounded, knowing that God's justice and eternal purpose far outweigh temporary appearances. In verse 3, David shifts our focus to what we are to do instead. Trust in the Lord and do good. Then you will live safely in the land and prosper. Trusting in the Lord means placing our faith in His character, His promises, and His sovereignty. It involves letting go of our need to control every outcome and instead relying on God's wisdom and provision. But trust isn't passive, it's paired with action. David calls us to do good. This means living a life that reflects God's righteousness, serving others, and pursuing what is right. Trusting God and doing good go hand in hand as our actions demonstrate our faith in Him. This trust and obedience results in a life of safety and blessing. While this doesn't mean that we'll never face challenges, it does mean that God's presence and provisions will sustain us. Living in alignment with His will bring success and security that the world cannot offer. Verse 4 is one of the most beloved verses in the psalm. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you your heart's desire. To delight in the Lord means to find our joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment in Him. It's about making God the center of our lives and cherishing His presence above all else. When we delight in the Lord, our desires begin to align with His. This isn't a promise that God will grant us every wish or whim, but instead He will shape our heart's desire to what is good, holy, and aligned with His will. As we draw closer to Him, we'll experience the joy of His blessing and the fulfillment of desires that reflect His purposes. This verse challenges us to evaluate where we find our joy. Are we seeking fulfillment in temporary things, or are we delighting in God's eternal and unchanging character? When we prioritize Him, our hearts are transformed, and we discover our true joy comes with living in His presence. David continues in verse 5, Commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust Him, and He will help you. This verse invites us to surrender every aspect of our lives to God, our plans, our worries, our dreams, and our struggles. To commit something to the Lord means to entrust it fully to Him, releasing control and trusting Him to guide and provide. The promise that follows is both simple and profound. He will help you. God's help may not always come in the way or the timing that we expect, but it is always sufficient and perfectly suited to our needs. When we surrender our lives to Him, we can trust He is working all things together for our good and His glory. This verse challenges us to let go of the things we try to control and place them in God's hand. It is a call to live with open hands and open hearts, trusting that God's plans are better than our own. In verse 6, David reassures us of God's faithfulness. He will make your innocence radiate like the dawn, and the justice of your cause will shine like a noonday sun. This is a promise of vindication and clarity. When we live with integrity and trust God, He ensures our righteousness will become evident. The imagery of dawn and the noonday sun emphasizes brightness and visibility. Just as the rising sun dispels the darkness, God's justice will illuminate the truth. Even when we face false accusations or misunderstandings, we can trust that God will reveal the truth in His time. This verse is a reminder to remain patient and faithful, knowing that God sees our hearts and will ultimately bring about justice. David concludes this section with powerful instruction. Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for Him to act. Don't worry about evil people who prosper or fret about their wicked schemes. This verse calls for us to quiet our hearts and to rest in God's presence. To be still means to stop striving, worrying, or trying to take matters into our own hands. It's an invitation to trust God fully and to wait on His perfect timing. Waiting is not easy, especially when we see evil people prospering and feel the weight of injustice. But David reminds us that fretting and worrying accomplishes nothing. Instead, we are called to place our hope in God, trusting that He is at work even when we cannot see it. This verse is a powerful reminder of the peace that comes from trusting God. When we release our fears and anxieties to Him, we can experience the stillness and assurance that only He can provide. In Psalm 37, verses 1 through 7, it offers us timeless wisdom for navigating life's challenges and uncertainties. Here are a few key lessons that we can take from these verses. First, focus on God and not on others. Don't let the success of the wicked distract or discourage you. Their prosperity is temporary, and God's justice is eternal. Second, trust and act. Place your trust in God and live out your faith by doing good. Your trust in Him should inspire actions that reflect His love and righteousness. Third, delight in the Lord. Find your joy and fulfillment in God, and let Him shape the desires of your heart. When you prioritize Him, you'll discover the true satisfaction that comes with His presence. Fourth, surrender your plans. Commit every aspect of your life to God, trusting Him to guide and help you. His plans are greater than ours, and His help is always sufficient. And fifth, wait with patience. Be still in God's presence and trust in His timing. Even when it is hard to wait, remember that God is working behind the scenes to bring about His purposes. Psalm 37, verses 1 through 7 is a beautiful reminder for us to keep our eyes on God and to trust Him with every aspect of our lives. Whether we are struggling with envy, worrying, or uncertainty, these verses guide us back to the one who is faithful, just, and loving. As you reflect these truths, I encourage you to bring your worries to God, commit your plans to Him, and find joy in His presence. Trust that He is at work, and rest in the peace that comes from His unchanging character. Thank you for joining me through this journey of Psalm 37. Until the next time, may God's wisdom guide your steps, and may His peace fill your heart. And if you found this podcast insightful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Then encourage your friends and family to join us, and come along tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, and most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal. And as we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you next time for more daily wisdom.